work, we're going to take a look at polygons and polyhedrons. We are going to create polyhedrons with equilateral triangles. And we're going to start by getting our shapes with a circle. So that way you already have an equal shape. And then we're going to fold it so that we get equilateral triangles. Think about what type of polyhedron you want to make. Here are some examples that show how many faces you will need to construct each different type of polyhedron. If you already have experience with this, you are welcome to explore the Mathagon website and use different types of polyhedrons. But I found that using the equilateral triangle by starting out with a circular shape is the easiest way to start this if you don't have any experience with this yet. But you can still get some really interesting shapes using just the simple equilateral triangles. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples that I started and how you can construct these to get different effects. Here you can see my two prototypes. I have one with 4 faces and one with 8 faces. Now on one, I trimmed off the edges of the circle. You can keep that as a decorative element, or you can fold it to the interior to have a true polyhedron that would have straight edges. But again, I liked it to start out with the circle because I found that it was an easy way to fold an equilateral triangle since I'm starting out with a shape that's already even all the way around. Now, depending on the type of polyhedron you want to make, I find that it's easiest to start really close to the edge and in one of your corners with your circles. That way you can try to fit on as many as you can. The polyhedron with 20 faces, I wasn't quite able to fit on the entire paper, but I did my best. And I also put the circles in rows of 3 so I could count them easily as I was working. The little tin that I found around my house was about 3 inches in diameter, and that's the same material I used to make the 2 polyhedrons that I showed you at the beginning of the video. You're welcome to trace something that has larger faces if you want your work to be larger scale, but don't necessarily want to have as many faces, or you could trace something about the same size or smaller. It really depends on what aesthetic you're going for. If I run out of room on this paper, I can always use one of my scrap pieces of paper, or if you have an extra piece of drawing paper, that's perfect. This paper is just a little bit on the thicker side. So if you want to do something with the watercolor pencils, for example, you'll definitely want to try that out on the thicker paper. And for this work, you'll be able to choose the material to add your color and the style for your work. So that's something to start thinking about today, and start also considering how these faces are going to come together for your overall design. So when I mention diameter, what I'm talking about essentially is the width of the circle. So when I take my ruler, I can take a look and see that it's roughly 3 inches. So I just wanted to explain that to you in case you weren't sure what that terminology meant. So if you want your faces to be smaller, you'll want to find a shorter diameter. And if you want larger faces, you'll want to find something that's a little bit wider, like if you use a tape roll or the bottom of a paint can. All of those materials will work just fine as long as you have a circular edge.